Hi, this is a take two. I tried to film this and I didn't like how it was going, so I restarted. I guess for some reason today I'm not as well spoken as I'd like to be, which is unfortunate because I would really like to do this video justice. So we're not restarting from here because if I do that, I will just keep restarting and I'll never be perfect again. So um, we're just gonna go for it, and if I don't word things the way I want to, oh well. Oh well. Today I wanted to talk about my experience being a closeted bisexual trans man, like throughout my adolescence growing up. I've talked a little bit about it in other videos, and it's something that I'm going to definitely, like, that is my life experience as being a bisexual trans man who spent the first many years of his life closeted. Um, that means that, that is just an experience that I'll be talking about. But I just wanted to talk about a few things in particular about it that I think could be helpful for somebody else who may be struggling with recognizing their own sexual and romantic attraction, recognizing their own gender identity. I think I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on my bisexuality in this video, but from the perspective of being a closeted trans man. And I'm sure I'll make a lot more videos about being trans and all that stuff. But I wanted to mostly talk about kind of how I started noticing my attraction as a teenager and how that kind of developed into adulthood, and how I proceeded because I call myself, I say I was closeted as bisexual until around age 19, 20-ish. Not that I didn't realize that I liked girls. I actually did realize I liked girls, and I was very, very freaked out about it. I actually realized I liked girls around middle school, a little younger, maybe like 6th grade-ish, maybe 7th. And it was very interesting in retrospect, because at the time, I had no fucking clue what was going on. I had no idea. They really do not teach you about this shit in school, and they really should. They don't even give good heterosexual sex ed, and they definitely don't give queer sex ed in America, so I was on my fucking own. I had no idea. I remember I noticed my first indication that something was a little weird was I noticed that I was having an issue with staring at girls. It was something that was pointed out by other girls, some of whom I was staring at. And this is the funny thing is I have a vision issue. I have nystagmus. My eyes kind of shake a little bit. And that affects my vision. I don't wear my glasses for this, partially because it helps with dysphoria, partially because I just hate glasses. But even with correction, my vision is not good. It's not good. It's not good enough to drive. And so in general, if I'm looking at a person, or to visually see a person, I do have to look for a bit longer. Because of the way I've always explained my vision is I can't catch the image. It's like whatever I'm staring at, I can stare at it all day, but I can't quite grasp all of the intricacies of the image. So if I'm wanting to see a person, I will naturally stare a bit longer just because of my vision, and that's something that socially has been a frustration because I will actively try not to stare because I don't want to be creepy, but I'm like furtively trying to like get a glimpse of this person that I'm like trying to interact with or whatever. I'm not even talking about like attraction right now. I'm literally just talking about like somebody that I'm like, you are a new person, let me memorize your face so I can, know what you look like. So that's an issue, but I was absolutely just staring at girls for for inappropriate lengths of time that I did not understand as a kid, because I didn't really understand. I didn't know why I couldn't look away. I didn't know why I was staring, and it definitely made some girls very uncomfortable. I remember there was this one girl in my like health class, very ironic. There's this one girl in my health class that I now realize I had a crush on. At the time, I was just like, there's just this girl that like I always want to see, and I always know if she's in class or not, and I always want to like, and I'm just watching her the entire class because that's not creepy and that's totally fine. And she would be like, she would be like, why are you still staring at me? And then her friend, so she sat like in front of me and to the left, and then her best friend sat behind me. So her best friend was also noticing that I'm fucking just staring at this poor girl, not leaving her alone. I mean, I didn't really like talk to her, bother her, but I was like, you know, just not realizing the social thing where, if you just stare at someone for a really long time, it's really fucking awkward. I remember I really liked her makeup, and she had this like raspy voice that I was really into. And again, it's this thing where it's like, I didn't realize that was attraction. I didn't realize that I was so like focused on her because of attraction. I don't even know what I thought it was. I was like, I guess I'm really focused on this girl. And they did kind of make fun of me for it. I think they probably guessed that there was a bit of something queer going on before I did, because I had no idea at the time. And yeah, that didn't go well. There was I noticed at one point that I would God, I hate that clock. I noticed at one point that I was staring at girls' asses, and I was like, why am I doing this? Why is this something I'm doing? And I was like, oh, I just want to know what boys think when they look at girls. Like, that was my reasoning, where I was like, I'm just trying to understand a different perspective than my own. I'm trying to broaden my mind, broaden my experiences by fucking looking at girls as they walk away. Did not understand the etiquette of that. Was not taught the etiquette of that because I did not grow up a boy, and I was not told by people, hey, that's disrespectful to just stare at girls like that. So yeah, shocking that there was rumors about me being a lesbian. Totally couldn't have seen that coming. And I remember that was a very difficult time when it came time to be like when we started doing gym class, and we had locker rooms where we were undressing in front of each other. And I do remember that at the time, I couldn't name it as this is sexual / romantic attraction, but I remember feeling like I am feeling something that these other girls in this room are not feeling, and I should not be staring. Like, at least then I knew not to stare. And I remember it was always a very like I could tell that there was something I was experiencing that most of the other girls in the room were not experiencing, and that meant I needed to kind of keep my head down and not not let myself stare, because not really appropriate. And that's the thing, is that like people who freak out about like trans people using bathrooms or something, where it's like you just want to catch a glimpse of girls, or you're just doing this to be creepy. Like, I guarantee you, most trans people growing up had so much shame around knowing that their brain was different than the other bodies they were around in those circumstances. That even if they couldn't put words or names to it, we felt that, um, we felt that we were different. We felt that we were having a different experience than other people were. And, you know, I mean, I don't know how sexually repressed you have to be to change your pronouns and put hormones in your body just to spy on people. But I don't think that person exists. I really don't. I think the people who are trying to just use the fucking bathroom just really want to goddamn use the bathroom that is for their gender. It's not. It's, I was a boy in a girl's locker room. That is the fact of the matter. It doesn't matter that I'm AFAB. It does not matter that I was born a woman. I was a boy in the girls' locker room. And I managed to not be creepy, I managed I managed to not, because that's not our experience. Our experience is not, it is not this fucking, I don't even know what you think, like, not you necessarily, but like people who are transphobic about it. It's like, I don't even know what you think our experience is. What you think I don't know. We're just trying to be us. And I was just trying to be a normal boy in a girl's locker room, and that's it's a very weird situation to find yourself in at that age. And I grew up, it is, there is a weird isolation to growing up trans and not realizing it, especially if you are attracted to the gender that you are supposed to be. There's a weird isolation because you know that you are experiencing something from these interactions. You are experiencing something from this socially that other girls are not experiencing. I knew that other girls my age that I was talking to, that I was interacting with, were not interested in staring at each other. They didn't care. It was just, we're just changing for gym. And this is not to make it sound like, oh, I had such a horrible time, but there's this social dynamic that is very isolating. It's very isolating to have that experience of, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel the need to stare? Why do I feel like something pulling at me, like to, because of, the bodies that are around me? Like, you feel like a freak. You feel like a monster. It's like, why am I having this issue but no other girls are? Why am I having an issue staring and these other girls are fine? It's very isolating and very, you feel wrong. You feel dirty. You feel like a predator in some ways. Like, that's something I struggled with and still struggle with, is because of the messages that society has given to trans people and queer people. I do struggle with feeling like my attraction is predatory, just inherently. And it's not. That's the thing, is it's not. But that is a very real fear I experience, is, when I am attracted to girls, when I am looking at girls. And there is some awareness there. There's a level of awareness that girls are mistreated by society. And girls are mistreated by men. And that's not to say that every, I don't want to fucking stand here and have to say that, but as, in a patriarchal society that encourages men to mistreat women, that encourages men to not treat them like humans, it is something that I've always wanted to be careful about and wanted to be respectful about, but it's hard to know what to do in those spaces, especially when you're a teenager and you don't understand why you're feeling this way, and you don't understand the boundaries, you don't understand the social rules, because the social rules are different for you. Like, I was a teenage boy in a girl's locker room. What are the rules for that? What are the rules for that? there aren't any. We don't know what to do about that. Or if we do, I'm not aware. um, uh, you know, um, and you know, it's not to say that I never had um, experiences that were queer in certain situations like that. There was a sleepover I had with some girls as a teenager before I realized I was trans, before I accepted that I was bisexual. And I do remember there was this one girl who I have a feeling she might have also been queer, whether she realized it or not. But I do have a feeling that she might have been queer because definitely had a very not straight sleepover. I'll just say that. um, and that's one of those things where it's like I, you know, me and this girl we ended up sharing the couch to sleep. We roughhoused a lot. We were talking a lot. We were kind of segmented off, and um, you know, it was very, you know, very not straight interaction. But then, you know, there are parents who are like, you know, if you're gay, like, I don't want you near my children, you know, like, because we have this social structure of, you know, boys and girls have to be separate because if they're together in the wrong circumstance, babies will just appear out of nowhere. And so we're not really taught what to do when we do have attraction in those circumstances. We're not taught what to do when you are attracted to girls and you're having a sleepover. And I'm not, again, this is not like, this is the thing where it's like I grew up feeling like my attraction was predatory in situations that are very normal and natural and very, there should not be as much red tape around these situations as I think there is. But I was young. I didn't understand myself. I didn't understand how to make sense of these relationships and interactions. It was very confusing, and it's something that I still carry a lot of shame around. If I'm completely honest, I am proudly bisexual. I'm proudly trans. I'm happy with this identity because it's me, and I still struggle with feeling predatory. I still struggle with, you know, was that interaction with that girl something that made her feel unsafe because she sees me as a girl, but I'm not, I'm a guy. And that's something that I think we need to talk about a lot more because I have that internalized shame, that internalized, almost like a feeling like I'm lying, which is really fucked up. That's not, that's not how it should be. And I know that's not how it should be. There is nothing wrong with me liking girls. There's nothing wrong with me being a boy who likes girls. There wouldn't be anything wrong if I was a girl who liked girls. But there is this weird feeling sometimes that it, like, I feel like by not being in the body that I should be in, by not being in a cis male body, I feel like I'm lying in some way. Like, if I am interacting with a girl, there's this feeling that it's inherently predatory because of what society has told me, because of what society has told all trans people and all queer people. And I really struggle with that. I really do. Still feeling predatory when I interact with girls. And then I talked about this a little bit in my other video, but my experience in being attracted to boys, it's very fascinating because, again, I am AFAB, assigned female at birth. I've grown up in the body of a girl. And you would think that being attracted to boys would feel natural and normal. You would think that, yes, this is okay. But the thing is that I grew up socialized as a boy. I took in the social information that was meant for boys because I am a boy. That's the information I took in. And so when I interacted with other boys, for me, I processed those interactions as we are boys hanging out. I never thought I was a tomboy. I never liked the term tomboy. That's the thing. I never felt a connection with the word tomboy, and I still don't, because tomboy means you're a girl. It's just you're a girl who is more rough and tumble and tends to get along with boys better. But there is an inherent identity of femininity even in the term tomboy. Never felt like a tomboy. And so when I would like boys, it was this thing where I felt most comfortable when I could interact with boys as one of them. I felt most comfortable when we were playing basketball, playing soccer, when we were punching each other in the arm or whatever. You know, like, this is a funny side note. I don't know why, but something that bothered me so much growing up is that when I was hanging out with boys, and just one of the typical things that boys do when they're joking around is they'll do like a jerk off motion, right? Like, just like somebody tells a joke and then they just make the jerk off motion. I would do that, and then the boys would get uncomfortable because they're like, you can't do that, you don't have the right equipment for that. And that was upsetting to me. That was genuinely upsetting to me because it was a socially boy thing, and when they said I couldn't, it made me feel like a girl, made me feel like I wasn't one of them. And it's something that it's very funny. It's a very funny thing to get upset about. It's a very humorous thing to be that I felt jilted by, but I did. Stuff like that where it's like socially I so badly wanted to be seen as one of them. I wanted to be seen as a boy, and there were just these times when I couldn't be because they didn't see me that way. And so whenever I would have a crush on a boy, it would be this awkward balance where I liked them, wanted to kiss them, wanted to hold their hand, wanted to do other things. But I didn't want them to see me as a girl. I didn't want them to stop seeing me as one of them. And that never worked. That didn't work out because they all saw me as a girl. Or at least they saw me as the tomboy friend until romantic feelings got involved, and then I was a girl. And so that meant that there was a lot of shame with liking boys as well, because even though I grew up in an AFAB body, even though I grew up as a girl, I still internalized the message that it is wrong for boys to like boys. I still internalized the message of I am wrong for liking boys because liking boys means I'm a girl, and I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. But if I like boys, boys can't like boys. That's not socially acceptable. Boys are uncomfortable when boys like them. Boys don't like to be around boys that like them. That is gross and wrong and creepy. So it's one of those things where it's like I never, ever, ever have ever felt like my attraction was normal. Even though it is, that's the thing, is being queer is, there is medical science to back up being queer. It is a medical reality that queer people exist. And it is not wrong. It is very normal. And if you are queer, if you are in the closet, if you are still figuring out your identity, it is very normal. I don't want you to hear what I'm saying and internalize that I think it is wrong. I'm telling you about my own internalized transphobia, my own internalized homophobia, my own internalized queerphobia that has kept me from being who I am, in the hopes that, maybe somebody can recognize these things for themselves, or that it can be helpful to hear about that experience, and know that you are normal. It is totally normal to feel all these things. And the shame you feel is unfortunately normal as well, though not because you should feel shame, but because our society is built around transphobia. It is built around homophobia, even though we've made a lot of strides. We have grown a lot as people, and we've made a lot of progress. And there are certain pockets of our country where this stuff isn't as much an issue. I do not live in one of those pockets. I live in a very, very homophobic, transphobic, queerphobic pocket. And it has had an impact on me that has been significant. What else was I saying? College was interesting, I will say. Man, when college... So, backing up a little bit again. In high school, I recognized that I liked girls and that it wasn't going away. Like, that was... I think high school was the point where I was just like, this is not leaving. I can't get over this. Or I you know... I had a habit of flirting with girls. I always had a girl I was hanging out with that we would be joking that we're dating. And you know, that goes really well in a Christian school. But in high school, I genuinely was so distraught about liking girls. I actually went to the school counselor and I said, what are my options for conversion therapy? I'm not joking. I asked my school counselor if I could do conversion therapy because I thought that liking girls was a sin, because I was so distressed that I couldn't stop thinking about girls, that I couldn't stop staring, that I couldn't stop being attracted, that I had these thoughts and feelings, that I genuinely was like, how can we get rid of this? Doesn't work. I will like girls for the rest of my life, no matter what happens, and that's just who I am. That's just how I am. And so, you know, that's kind of what I was growing up as, is this afraid of my bisexuality, having no idea of my trans identity, except, like, again, I had so many hints growing up, and I had so many times where I was like, I wish I was a boy. If I was a boy, this would make more sense. You know, I would say things like, I wish I was a boy so I could be funnier. I know the misogyny in that take, but I was a child. Leave me alone. Didn't understand. Yeah, I would be like, I wish I could make, you know, I wish I was a boy so I could make this joke. I wish I was a boy so I could say this or do this. If I was a boy, I'd be better at this. You know, saying things like that. You know, but I didn't know that I was trans, so I think I lost the thread on what I was saying a little bit. Oops. But in college, you know, I went to a Christian college, but it was definitely a very, like, liberal Christian college. And man, you know, dorms are interesting places to be in when you are attracted to the same gender. Or not, it's not the same gender. This is where it gets confusing, where it's like, for a while I thought I was a girl, so I thought I was attracted to the same gender. Now it's like, it's the opposite gender, but it still feels queer, because there is nothing straight about me at all. Nothing at all. But I remember there was this one time where there was this girl on our floor of our dorm. And the dorm I lived in at college was, it alternated. So, like, there was a floor that was all girls, floor that was all guys, floor that was all girls, floor that was all guys. So it was a co-ed dorm, but, like, you know, the floors were segmented according to gender. And there was this girl that was very, very pretty, very beautiful. I went to knock on her door to ask her a question. I guess there was a party that night, and I was gonna ask a question about it. I didn't go. But I knocked on her door. She opens the door in nothing but lingerie. That is all she is wearing. And she just starts talking to me, and I'm just like, is this appropriate? I don't think this is I think I need, goodbye. I ran away because I was just like, no. Very cis straight reaction. Um, and I was still closeted at this point somehow, where I was like, I like girls, but I'm just not gonna think about that right now. Um, I hope she's doing okay. She was fun. Um, yeah, it's just, I had to finally come to terms with my bisexuality because I was just like, I I can't keep pretending that I can't keep pretending like my attraction is limited to one gender, because it's not. I'm talking a lot about the binary genders right now, but it's, non-binary people. I've been attracted to many non-binary people as well. Because it's not, the reason I don't use the term pansexual for me is that my attraction does feel very different based on the gender, because of how I was socialized, because of how important being trans is to me, because of how important my trans identity is. um, Bisexual has felt like the more correct term, um, because my attraction does feel different depending on the gender I'm attracted to, and non-binary people kind of is its own, it's kind of person to person, because that is an umbrella, but there are so many different genders under the non-binary umbrella. And when I talk about social roles and, male roles and female roles, the whole point of non-binary is it's kind of outside of that binary. It's outside of that, of those roles that society has assigned, and that is kind of their privilege and right to be outside of that binary. And so I don't want to talk about them as if they are a third binary, because they're not. Not that obviously third binary makes no sense, because bi means two. But you know what I mean. That is a lot of the times while I'll be like, I'm attracted to girls as well as guys, but I am attracted to all genders. Gender has never. I don't understand what it's what it's like to have your attraction be limited to a gender, and it sounds baffling and confusing to me. But I respect you. It's just, it sounds very weird experience. Can't relate at all. um, yeah, and I remember, when I told my parents that I was bisexual, um, that did not go over well at all, at all. Um, my parents knew that I had some attraction to girls as a teenager, because again, I had brought up the whole conversion therapy thing, and one of the most upsetting things that happened as a result of that is, my sister and I used to, when we were little, we would roughhouse a lot, and we were always very touchy feely, just as siblings, and that was just kind of the way we interacted, was always be like hugging each other, or play shoving or something. And when my parents found out that I liked girls, they were like, you can't touch your sister anymore, because apparently that was a sexual thing to them, and it was obviously not to me. It's not like when that's the thing, is it's like, okay, if I was born a boy, would I not be allowed to roughhouse with my sister? Is that what we're saying? Is that the dynamic we're encouraging here, that me being attracted to girls means I shouldn't interact with my sister because that is somehow now sexual? That really upset me, and is something that still. I mean, my sister and I have never been as touchy feely since. You know, um, which was hard, because, like, I'm a very touch based person. I've talked about this in another video. And physical affection in all relationships, platonic, romantic, familial, is very important to me. And having that touch that was very normal and very only familial be labeled as something sinful and sexual was very damaging to me. It was very upsetting. Um, and, you know, queer phobia does so much damage. It does so much damage. And it's not just the big things. It's not just the laws being made. It's not just, can we get married? Do we have a legal right to change our bodies? It's not just about that. It's the little stuff. It's you know, being told that you're dangerous to your own sister. It's receiving the message that your attraction is predatory because you shouldn't be looking at girls naked because I'm a boy, and you know, that means that this time in the locker room where I'm confused and trying to figure myself out, that experience is predatory inherently. You know, it's being told that my relationship with my partners for 5 years wasn't real because polyamory doesn't exist, because you can't have ethical non-monogamy, and you guys broke up, so the relationship was never real in the first place, even though we tried so hard. All 5 years we tried to make it work. We chose love. We chose that relationship. We chose our queerness, and being told that that wasn't a real relationship, you know, it's not being able to have a pride flag, because as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. And being screamed at and told, you know, when I said that I wanted to pursue hormones, that so you want to be a bearded lady. And you know, queer phobia is so damaging, and it pervades our society. It exists in our society in so many ways that people don't even recognize. You know, just little things. You know, even just something as simple as people refusing to call me David, refusing to switch pronouns, hurts. It hurts. It does. It is not just a, well, why can't you just put up with it? Why, you know, just let yourself, you know, your parents don't understand. And it's like, yes, they don't. And I do not hold anger towards them for the ways that they have hurt me, because they don't understand. They do not have access to the education to understand, and it is outside of their comprehension. I don't hold anger towards them, but it doesn't mean that I'm not deeply hurt by their refusal to see me as their son, and knowing that I will likely never have someone who sees me as their son. You know, I will likely never have a family that respects my identity, that encourages my identity, that wants to see me live my identity happily. It's painful. It's very painful. And that's why it's so important to educate people, to always educate people. I get that it is exhausting. I hear from other queer people about how it is exhausting to try to educate people, to, you know, people very reasonably want want you to look stuff up when you can, to do your own research when you can, to pursue that knowledge on your own. But I like talking. I feel like I have a lot of shit to say. I feel like hearing it from someone can be very helpful. I feel like there are things I wouldn't know about myself if someone else hadn't said it first. There are things about my experience I would have never understood if I hadn't seen it elsewhere first. Because that's just how humans are. We have to learn from each other. We are built to learn from each other. We are built to live in community. We are built to pursue other perspectives. We are built to thrive off of connection with each other. And I think that expecting people to only learn from Google or only learn from academic sources is a discredit towards the experiences that people desperately want to share. That, you know, it is a discredit to the voices who have been trying to be heard for a long time, to people who have been, crying out to be heard again and again and again, have been so desperate for their voice to be heard and so desperate to be understood. I think that I understand that there is a certain part in your journey where perhaps you are a little done answering questions, and I think that's super valid. I don't think anyone owes explanations to anyone. I don't think that you owe other people an explanation for your existence, ever. But I think sharing your experience can be so valuable. And I think that listening to experiences that are not yours is an amazing way to grow and learn and change. I think there are many things in this world that cannot be accomplished unless people whose experience has been silenced speak out. I think unless people like me, people of color, women, trans, queer, disabled, I think that if these voices aren't listened to, and if these voices aren't encouraged to speak, that we will lose a lot as a people. I think we lose a lot by not hearing those voices. We lose a lot by choosing not to listen to those voices. We lose a lot by only listening to the privileged voices that surround us. And this is not meant as a... Oh, my words. Not coming out the way I want them to today. Being a person who has been born into privilege of some kind, and I'm not just talking about like somebody who's born into money. I'm talking about, born cis, straight, white, male, born with an able body. I'm not saying you're inherently the bad guy. You're not. That's not the point of this video. I'm not saying that privilege is inherently evil. Privilege is not evil. Privilege is a fact. I have white privilege. That is a privilege that I will never experience the pain of being a person of color in this country. I will never experience the racism and the discrimination that comes with being non-white in this country. I only know white privilege. I I benefit from white privilege. And that doesn't make me an evil person, but it means that I need to be aware of that privilege, and it means that it is my responsibility to be aware of my own privilege in those areas and to listen to voices that are different from mine and who do experience things like racism. Privilege is not the enemy. It's not that you're a bad person if you are born into a privileged identity. That is not what I'm trying to say. But what I am saying is that when you have privilege of any type, it is your responsibility as a person who lives in community with other human beings to listen to voices that aren't yours. It is your responsibility to understand your privilege. It is your responsibility to listen when you have done something hurtful because your privilege blinded you to something you said or did. It happens to all of us. I'm sure I have said or done things that were insensitive or racially motivated without recognizing it, because that is a blind spot for me because I'm white. But I think it is so important to take that responsibility as people and recognize what privileges you do have and recognize what you need to be open to and what you need to listen to as you go further into our world that is full of diversity and different kinds of love, different kinds of people, different kinds of needs, different kinds of relationships, different kinds of communities. It is so beautiful that we are so diverse. It is a gift that we get to live in a world where, you know, right next to you there's someone who is totally different from you. There's, you know, you will always run into people who have had experiences that you can't even fathom. And that's beautiful. It's wonderful that we are all so different. And I just wish that we were kinder towards each other. I wish that we could see this diversity as an opportunity to learn and grow instead of seeing diversity as almost an attack on our privilege somehow. I've seen that in some people where having privilege for them feels like they're being attacked by being told that they should recognize their privilege. And that's not how it is. It is a responsibility. It is not a demonizing. That's not what we're trying to do. I didn't expect to go into privilege talk while I was talking about bisexuality, but here we are. If you have the chance today to listen to a perspective that's not yours, do so. It's a great way to grow. It's a great way to expand the capacity of your heart, which I think should be a goal for everyone in this life. Because, you know, it's not just about us. It's never just about us. It's about all of us. It's about so many people. You know, diversity is beautiful, and I hope we can continue to learn about each other and grow and appreciate our differences. Preferably outside of the closet. That'd be nice. That'd be nice.